Hey team, welcome to another Bullpen Bulletin with Coach Hart and Building Better Baseball. Today is for players and kind of coaches too, but mostly players. So we're going to talk about baseball IQ. We're going to talk about what it is, like the definition of what you can expect it to be. We're going to talk about why it's important to you as a youth baseball player. And we're going to talk most importantly about how you can improve your baseball IQ. So if you were wondering any of these questions surrounding baseball IQ, this is your video today. Remember, I'm Coach Hart, Building Better Baseball, best place for baseball education. Let's get into baseball IQ. So the first question that we're going to ask is, what is baseball IQ? So if you've ever been confused about this term, you hear this term all the time and you're just like, kind of, what is that? Here's what it is. So a simple explanation of baseball IQ, and this is specifically for youth players, not necessarily high school and above or anything like that, but it is knowing what to do in every situation. That is just a simple explanation. So being in the field, being on defense, or being on the bases, being a base runner, knowing what to do if a situation arises or whatever play comes about, right? You know what to do in those situations. That is a general statement or general explanation of what baseball IQ is. All right, so this is what baseball IQ involves. These are the main pillars or the main steps of baseball IQ. All right, so situational awareness, knowing the situation. So keeping it simple of being on defense, knowing how many outs there are, knowing what bases or knowing what runners are on base and knowing what bases they are on. Knowing the count on the batter, like the balls and strikes and everything. So just knowing the situation, being aware of the situation. So if the ball comes to you, you know what to do with the ball. And especially if the ball doesn't come to you, you know what your job is or where you're going, wherever the ball is. So just knowing the situation in general. Thinking strategically, all right? This is anticipating outcomes of different scenarios. So if you have a runner on second base, you know high baseball IQ, you know that they are not forced. You know that there's no force play. So if you get the ball, you know, as having a higher baseball IQ, you know that you're going to check the runner at second to make sure they don't go, and then you're going to throw the ball to first. All right, so just things like that. Thinking strategically, playing the next play out in your mind if you get the ball and knowing what is going to happen, kind of anticipating what the base runners are going to do. Or if you reverse it, if you are the base runner, knowing what the defense is going to do and knowing where to go and what you can do based on your speed. So just having that strategic thinking and anticipating outcomes of different scenarios. The third one is quality decision making. All right, making the play that needs to be made. So going back to what we just said, making that play, making that correct play of what needs to be made based on the situation at hand. All right, and the last one is knowing your role, executing your job on every play. All right, so if you don't get the ball, you always have a job. There is never a play in baseball. I'm talking about when you're on defense. There's never a play in baseball where you are not going to move and perform a job of some sort. Whether it's backing up a base, whether it's being a cutoff, whether it's getting the ball and throwing to where it needs to be, where it needs to go, you always have a job. So knowing that job and knowing your role on every single scenario in every single play. All right, so these four things are really the big things that involve baseball IQ. So if you have ever been confused about this term of baseball IQ, this is generally what it is. There's a lot of nuances to it, but for a basic understanding of baseball IQ, this is what you can expect, and this is what you can think about whenever you hear this term. All right, the next thing is we're going to go over why it is important. All right, why is baseball IQ important? So the first thing is, I'm sure you can see the obvious reasons why having a baseball IQ or a higher baseball IQ is better, right? But here are some additional things to think about that you may not think about initially. It separates you from players of your same skill level. So let's say that you are going to a tryout. You are a rec player and you are going to a tryout and trying out for your first travel team, right? If you have a higher baseball IQ than a player of your same skill level, you can basically hit the same. You play the same position, you have the same arm strength, the same running speed, things like that. If you have a higher baseball IQ, meaning that you make the right play and you are not making necessarily mistakes out on the field, mental mistakes, I mean. Physical mistakes happen, but mental mistakes are really where you can separate yourself from the field of people who have your same skill level. So that's one thing I want you to think about. And this goes to if you're trying to get blank time, right? If you have a teammate who is of your same skill level, but they're out there making errors and making bad throws or making the wrong plays, but when you get out there, you're making the right plays, right? That separates you. That makes you almost a better player, even though you have the same skill level. So it separates you from players of the same skill level. It increases your team's efficiency on defense and base running. So what I mean is that your team as a whole, you make less errors because you know exactly where the ball is going to go on every play. All right, because you have a higher baseball IQ. So what does having less errors lead to for the pitcher specifically? A lower pitch count. All right, so it just kind of all works together, right? So you have less errors, lower pitch count. You have more runs scored on the base pass because you're not making base running mistakes, because you are thinking to yourself about the situation and the scenario, and you know what to do on the base pass. If you are on first base and there's a right side ground ball to the right fielder, you know that you can probably go from first to third because the ball is on the other side of the field and that's a farther throw for the right fielder, right? You know that on a fly ball and you're on third base, you can tag up and try to score. That is a higher baseball IQ move than someone who doesn't have a high baseball IQ and they're on third base and they maybe don't tag up so they don't score that run. Right? It just makes your team more efficient. And especially if you have the whole team kind of working together and they all have a higher baseball IQ, all of these things happen. You have less errors, so you're out in the field less time. You have a lower pitch count, so you save your pitcher's arm and their pitchers. And with a lower pitch count, your pitchers can pitch more innings. All right, you have more runs scored, so therefore you win more games. It's just kind of a cascading effect when your whole entire team has a higher baseball IQ. And the last one is just increased team chemistry. If you have less errors, if you have a lower pitch count, if you're winning more games and scoring more runs, you naturally are going to be more cohesive as a team unit. All right. Versus the other side, if you are making mental mistakes or mental errors and not making the right plays, which is keeping your defense on the field longer, which is allowing the other team to score more runs. You see how it works? So you have increased team chemistry whenever everybody has a higher baseball IQ on your team because you're making the right plays and you're winning more games. These three things specifically, I want you to think about the next time you think about baseball IQ. All right. Now, the last one, most important one. How do I improve it? If I don't have a high baseball IQ, what can I do to improve my baseball IQ so I can accomplish all those things on the previous slide? All right, so here's some tips on how to increase your baseball IQ. The first, most basic one is to fully understand the rules of the game, right? And if you do not fully understand, now obviously we understand the basic rules like what's a strike, what's a ball, those things, right? But the little nuances of the game, like how the game works and how the game is run and what's going to happen in different scenarios, fully understanding the rules of the game will severely help you in increasing your baseball IQ. And you can help yourself understand the rules of the game by watching the professionals play or watching a higher level baseball game. But the key is to watch it actively. Actively watch college and MLB games. And what do I mean by that? So put yourself on the field. Put yourself in the situation of what you see on the TV. All right. If you see an MLB team, some guy just got a hit. I'm a Washington Nationals fan. I've been a fan my entire life. I'm from the Washington area, Maryland. So like let's say I watch James Wood. So James Wood's doing really well this year. James Wood just hits a single, right? Now, when James Wood gets on first base, I put myself in James Wood position, right? Okay, there's one out. I'm on first base. What do I do if the ball is hit where? right? And just go through those different scenarios and actively watch the game and put yourself on the field in whatever position you are, right? So the shortstop is CJ Abrams. If I was CJ Abrams in this situation of one out with a runner on second, where would I go with the ball? And what would I do if I don't get the ball? Doing those different things. So actively watching the game means that you are putting yourself in the situation and you are seeing what develops and you are watching what the professionals do in that situation so you can learn from it. If you are correct, let's say that you made the correct call because as soon as you said it, it happened, right? It happened on the field. You can say, oh, that was good. I made the right call. But if they don't do what you were thinking, ask yourself why. Okay, so CJ Abrams, he threw the ball here when I thought he should have thrown the ball here. If I was shortstop, I would have thrown the ball there. Like, why did he do that? And learn. That's how you learn and increase your baseball IQ. So the first tip is just fully understand the rules of the game, and you can really help yourself do that by actively watching higher level baseball players, especially professional players, play the game and putting yourself in that situation. So the last one or the next one is use team batting practice to run through different situations. So I'm assuming, hopefully, during batting practice, you have your base runners and it's almost like kind of a live game, but you have more hits, right? You have more balls coming at you. So when you are in the situation on the defense and you're fielding batting practice ground balls or just balls in general, repeat to yourself these situations. So let's say that you have nobody on, right? If you have nobody on, where do I go with the ball? And more importantly, where do I go if I don't get the ball? So if the ball is hit to right field, where am I going? If the ball is hit to left field, where am I going? If the ball is hit to third base, where am I going? Right? What is my job on every single batter? And you can nearly do this every single pitch. And especially in batting practice, there's a lot of reps. And as I say at the end of this video, it's all about repetition. All right, so repeat to yourself these situations and move through batting practice, acting as if it were a game, and go and running through all of these scenarios and running through all of these situations. All right, so team batting practice is a great way to help yourself improve in situational baseball. All right, and in a game, repeat the situation to yourself every single pitch. I'm not exaggerating. Every single pitch. All right. There comes a pitch. Repeat to yourself. Okay, I got one out, runner on first. I'm going to second, and if I don't get it, I'm doing this. Right. And then the next pitch. Okay, one out, runner on second. Right. Next pitch, runner. Like literally every single pitch, you have to train yourself and make a habit of knowing the situation. Right. Obviously, we're not going to remember it every time. Sometimes we forget. That happens. We're human, right? But it's really, really important to repeat to yourself the situation every single time and get in that habit, that mode of knowing the situation, because building off of that, knowing the situation, that is going to lead you to what you're going to do with the ball if you get it and what you're going to do, like your job, if you don't get it. So repeat to yourself the situation every single pitch when you're in a game. All right. And make a habit of asking, what do I do if the ball comes to me? First question, what do I do if the ball comes to me? If I get the ball and the situation, what am I going to do with it? Repeat that to yourself and make that a habit of asking yourself that question, because it's almost impossible when you get the ball, when the ball actually comes to you, to think about all of those things because you're in the middle of a play. Do all the work in the front before you get the ball and know where you're going to go so that when you get the ball, you just do the play, right? So, but most importantly, the second question is, what do I do if the ball doesn't come to me? And that's a question that I feel that a lot of youth players don't ask themselves. They only worry about if the ball comes to them, if I get the ball. You always have a job, as I said before, you always have a job on every single play, whether the ball comes to you or not. All right. So if you get the ball, what do? And if you don't get the ball, where are you going? What is your job? Are you backing up a play? Are you backing up a base? Are you a cutoff man? Are you covering a base? What is your job on each play in each situation? All right. If you practice and make this a habit of repeating yourself it'll just ingrain, and then you'll start seeing the same situations pop up season after season after season as you get older. So it'll be quicker, right? Making this a habit, it's going to be a little slow at first, but you will build that habit, and it'll go quicker, where you almost don't even have to ask this question, because you see the situation, you know how many outs there are, and you go, oh, I go here, or I do this, or the play goes here, right? It'll just become habit and become second nature to you as you get older. And that means when it becomes second nature, that means that your baseball IQ is improving and it is increasing, right? And you're going to notice that. And the last one is, it all comes down to repetition, as we've been talking about. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Doing something over and over and over and over and making it a habit, and then it will become second nature. Just like I always use the example, brushing your teeth. Do you think about how to brush your teeth? No, you've been doing it forever. Do you think about how to use a spoon or a fork? No, you've been doing it forever because you repeated it. That is how it should be in baseball IQ and situational baseball and knowing what to do with the ball. All right. It should just be second nature, and you shouldn't even have to think about it because you've seen the situation so many times. You've asked this question so many times, and it's become second nature. Okay. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I just really hope that it kind of broke down baseball IQ and like that definition and what it means. It sometimes sounds a little intimidating when you hear it and you don't really know what it is. You're like, oh, what is this thing, baseball IQ, that I don't know about? This is really just what it is. It's just situational baseball. So hopefully this explained it in kind of simple terms for especially young players to understand. And hopefully these tips on the third slide, those tips of actively watching a game and repeating the situation and all those things, hopefully those are simple things that you can do that are practical, that you can do every single day in practice or game to help you increase your baseball IQ. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed. Before you go, I have a free guide down below. It is a free coaching starter pack and a free parent starter pack for any parent who's new to youth baseball and needs a little jump start to start their season, okay? So hopefully you enjoyed. Grab your free guide, link below. I'm Coach Hart. This is Building Better Baseball, the best place for baseball education. And I'll see you in another video real soon.